pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just remain standing for a moment, Reverend Hunt.
Let's pray. God, we thank you for transitions. We thank you for transition into a new building. We thank you for the transition in the attitudes of our fellow citizens, God. We just thank you for our city, and we thank you for what is going to be happening this summer. We ask a blessing on the upcoming street fair and the car show. And God, we just ask for your wisdom, your direction here tonight. We just give you this time, and we thank you for what you're going to do. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend. Mike, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Gavarrecki.
Present.
Councilman Templin.
Present.
Councilman Cisco.
Present.
Councilman Hayes.
Present.
Councilman DiGiulio.
Here.
Pro Tem Keenan.
Present.
Treasurer Armstrong.
Present.
And Mayor Mategas.
Present.
We have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. I'd like a motion for the approval of tonight's agenda, June 9th, 2015.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make one change there, okay? Want me to do it before you approve it, or? I'd like to see the street fair and the liquor sales separated for 2 votes, not all one.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hayes is seconded. Is there any discussion? Ask for the vote. All in favor of separating Resolution 3 into the 2 votes, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. So Resolution 3 will have a 3 and a 3A, all right?
Sure, thank you.
With that amendment, I'll take the motion.
Motion. Support.
Councilman Templin, supported by, Councilman Cisco, excuse me. Guys are going, no air on, the meeting's going to move quickly, I can see that. Any further discussion?
Oh, did you add that item?
Oh,
Well, Mr. Mayor, if you're intent on slowing down a meeting, I could probably come up with a few ideas.
well, I've got one here. The city attorney wants to,
Or just speak your mind.
Please, listen. City attorney would like to, under other business, we've reached an agreement with American Tower, and he'd like that presented to the council tonight for its consideration. So without objection, I'd like to add that item. All right. So there's 2 amendments. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. That's carried. Thank you. Approval of the minutes for May 26th.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Hayes. Do I have a support?
Support.
Councilman DiGiulio. Any discussion? Hearing none, I ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. I could just ask for the council's indulgence. Just for the audience, I think, which most of you know, but maybe for those people that are watching us tonight and see this, the city has moved its offices in the main, and we were open for business today. The police station is still open because we're still using the jail facilities, and we're just finishing the contract with Dearborn and the rules and procedure for exchange of our prisoners when they are going to be jailed in Dearborn, and then we'll shut down that facility. And but other than that, we are over there and open for business, and I'd like to thank all the employees. We closed Friday, and everybody was packing and moving was started, and they did move the police department first. Large number of people were working here Saturday and Sunday. We were closed Monday as they were trying to unpack and get ready for regular business today, and in the main we did accomplish that. But you'll still see IT people getting our computer and other new equipment ready, as well as finishing touches being put on the offices. But I think everybody worked extremely hard, and it went very well when you figure we were in this facility since 1972. there was a lot of material that was moved, and fortunately, a lot of people found a lot of stuff they didn't really need, and that was shredded and thrown away. So, but particular thanks to the city administrator for his guiding us this last couple of months, and Dave Boomer, building department head, was given the job by the emergency manager of being the general contractor to build out all the offices. And I think he did a wonderful job, and I think we all owe him a great debt of gratitude, because he still had to run his building department during a busy season. And he did that. We used all Allen Park contractors for almost every phase of the work, and I think they did a marvelous job. So if you see Mr. Boomer, give him thanks, and I'd like to have us all give him a hand, because it was a big job. With that, we will go to the city administrator's organizational business.
Thank you, Mayor. Here we go without my glasses. Good evening, everyone. Negotiations between the city and the two police units are continuing. Our last meeting was June 3rd. We're throwing out dates now for our future negotiations. AFSCME, which has changed its representation to TPOAM, them negotiations are scheduled to start on June 12th and June 17th. With the pending retirement of Sergeant Hickey, John Dabbs has been promoted to sergeant. A list will be created to begin the process for hiring a new firefighter. Inspection of the new elevators at our new building across the parking lot are scheduled for July 17th. Until that time, an intern will be placed at a kiosk in the front entrance of the new City Hall to assist those who could not traverse the stairs. She has a computer and a phone and a directory, and will come up to meet anybody who has special needs and take care of them until the elevator is ready. An updated road evaluation should be ready by the end of June. Staff will use this to help develop options for the council to consider in future construction designs, and for also planning the future of our roads. The new software for the city has been upgraded. The conversion and training of the staff begins next week. They've been downloading the software to our new server. That training starts on June 12th. As the mayor had mentioned earlier, the city of Dearborn has agreed to house our prisoners on a temporary basis. The contract is being drafted and should be available for staff review soon. Once reviewed by legal counsel, it will become for council for consideration and back to Dearborn. The chief is currently developing a transfer protocol for prisoners. Until the agreement is complete, prisoners will be housed at the old City Hall here. The police department will continue to staff the front desk here at this building to monitor prisoners and for posting of bonds. All other police services, such as records, detective bureaus, and other staff, have moved to our new site across the parking lot. So if you need a record, a report or something, you would go to the new building. Basically just prisoners and bonding is what's going to occur here until we have the deal cut with Dearborn and completed. We're about to start concrete repair on Philomene. I actually think that has started. It's about half done. Vine has been delayed until the school's closed for the summer, and then it'll be completed by the middle school. The city has been informed that Wayne County will be replacing streetlights with LEDs this year in the following locations: northbound Pelham from Allen to Van Born, northbound Allen from Goddard to Pelham, westbound Goddard from the CSX Railroad to Allen Road, Oakwood from Southfield to the Canadian National Railroad, Outer Drive from Southfield to the Canadian National Railroad, Fairlane Drive from Dearborn to Oakwood, Allen Road from Ecorse and Roosevelt to north of Wick Road, and Allen Road from the Ecorse Creek to Southfield Road. That's mostly county and state roads, but the new lighting will definitely be appreciated. Now that most of City Hall has moved, staff will concentrate on moving the council chambers over to the new site. The tentative first meeting of council at the new site will be July 9th. That'll give us the 3-week lag between the second meeting in June and July 9th to get everything here disassembled and moved over and set up at the new location. A legal description for the property on Allen Road, which is also known as the gun range, has been forwarded to the city attorney so court action can be started to have that building torn down. Once all needed items are removed from the old city hall, staff will seek permission from council to have remaining items auctioned or sold off. And for those of you that have probably already noticed, we have a new Facebook site for the city. It's called Allen Park, City of Allen Park-Government. It is meant mostly for informational and promotion of city events. And again, I'd like to thank all the staff that participated in this move to the new city hall. It was truly a momentous occasion, and I think everybody did a fantastic job to get us moved in the short time we had and get open for business yesterday. So I really appreciate all the work that went into that. Thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Motion to accept and file.
Motion by
Support.
Mr. Keenan, supported by Councilman Hayes, to accept the report and file. Any further discussion?
I'd like to ask a couple of questions, Mayor.
Yes, Councilman DiGiulio.
We're going to tear down the gun range, right, Mr. Kibbe? And then what happens to the property there? Do we put a lien on the property for whatever it costs to tear it down?
If I could, I'd defer to the city attorney. We forwarded the legal description to start that process, and he could probably answer that question better than I.
Good evening. There's a couple different ways of getting at this, and in the past, the city has used a building board, a demolition board, and one of the members on that board is now a building official, and because this has been pending so long, the city administrator and myself, we spoke and thought it would be best to just take this to circuit court and have this done with. And the idea would be we'd ask the court that he order him to tear it down. If it's not tore down within a certain amount of time, then we would ask that the city be unable to do that, and that we would place a lien against, that judgment would be a lien against the property.
Mr. Gamaluch is still the owner of that property?
I will not know until I get the results of the title search as to who, all the parties in interest. Sometimes it's interesting when you do a title search, you find out how many parties have an interest in it. So we will have to notify all the parties, if there was a bank, anyone involved, we'd have to notify them and add them as a party. But by next council meeting, I should probably be able to tell you who the owners are.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Hearing none. We'll go to the public comment. I'm one of the slower unpackers, so I don't have the, I'm using a gavel I found here, not my regular gavel, and I don't have the rules of decorum, but basically, please be respectful, no personal attacks on any citizens or any public officials. You will speak to me and through the chair with any questions, and you will be given 4 minutes time. So with that, any citizens?
Mayor, just real quick, I'm not sure we voted. Did we vote? He did a motion to accept the report? But we did, we.
Oh, I'm sorry. The report and file was moved by Mayor Pro Tem Keenan, supported by Councilman Hayes. Could I have a vote on that? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
I'm trying to get us through here quickly. Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Ray McGusson, citizen of Allen Park, Quant. I got a couple questions and a couple concerns. I'd like to have the City of Allen Park take a look at 2 sink areas that are starting to sink along the curb on Reek between Goddard and Midway. You're going to have to look. They're on both sides of the street. There's 2 different areas. I can't give you the exact location, but you'll see that they're starting to sink and they're starting to crumble and push up the curbs. And they're going to, I don't know, they look pretty bad. Okay, the next thing I would like to ask is, it looks like we're asking for, we're going to redo our lighting in our community center. It looks like that's on our as a resolution. Does anybody know if we're planning to go ahead and get any kind of grant money for that? And is Detroit Edison going to give us any type of credit for doing that kind of upgrade? Because every single year, there is money there available to the public, to us as citizens in our homes, and also to the communities for credits. So I'd like to know if we have applied for it, have we been, where it is. I also see that, let me see, it's a software program, that's resolution number 6. And number 1, resolution about repair on compressors. I know we got to maintain our stuff, and I'm going to bring this up again. I would firmly like to see what kind of grant money we are applying for to go ahead and do these repairs. I've asked about this before, and since we have new people running our city, I'd love to see how much money we are applying for. I'd also like to know about the SAFER grant. I'd like to also know how much grant money our police chief has applied for his department. If he applied for anything, including our fire chief and all our departments, that money is available for us. We lost it because we went for too much in the past. We went for that $2 million. We got absolutely nothing. And this time around, I firmly believe we should be asking for grant money. Okay? I firmly believe we should be asking for it. Question or?
The street you mentioned, Goddard and Midway?
It's on Reek,
Reek?
between Goddard and Midway. There's 2 areas right along the curb. You'll absolutely see that the curbs are being pushed up and
Okay.
crumbled.
We'll look at that. As far as the grants, we have applied for the SAFER grant for fire. We have not received a response yet. The other grants you're referring to, we will, through the contractor, if that's approved by council, we'll apply for any credits DTE offers as far as rebates. The CGAP grants, which you're talking about, are no longer available. The state has not offered those since that $2 million one from last year. That was the last grant that came out from the state. As far as other grants, we have Mr. Kibbe on staff who spends a lot of time looking for opportunities, but to date, there's just not a lot of grants out there right now. The money usually becomes available when it is available after September 30th, when the government starts their new fiscal year, which usually starts October 1st. As of right now, there's just not a lot of grant money out there.
Okay, but we are going to be ready to go ahead and apply for any kind of grant money that's there.
We look for anything that's available.
Thank you very much.
I'd just like to add.
Have a great day.
The fire chief, to his credit, has been very proactive in going after grants. He's not only received the grant for the ladder truck that we have, some grant money for the ambulance that we just purchased, but what people may not know, because it's not as visible as a big red truck, is a lot of the equipment that they use, nozzles, hoses, all that. He just got a lot of grant for that. I talked to him yesterday.
EKGs.
Yeah, I talked to him yesterday, and he's actually they're going to have like a citywide garage sale and offer some of their old equipment up at obviously reduced rates to other departments that are maybe volunteer, that don't have the funds, that will give back some money again to the community on stuff that we replaced on so I don't know about the police department, but I can tell you that Doug LaFond has been very, very diligent. He has really stepped up to the plate to seek funding, not only by grants, but also funding that's available to the department through like Blue Cross for transport and a lot of other things. So I think Doug needs to be recognized.
Thank you, Doug. Very good.
Good evening, Nancy Simmons, and I live on Keppen. Since we're talking about potholes and things like that, the roads, on Keppen at Larmy, just south of Keppen, but on Larmy, right in the center of at that intersection, right in the center of the road below Keppen, there is very deep hole. And it's right in the center. And so I don't know if like maybe a orange thing could be put on, cone could be on top of it or something, because if somebody hits that, their tire is going to be gone.
Captain at Laramie?
Yes.
All right.
That's up by Southfield and Outer Drive. And also, I am going to talk about this. Councilman Hayes and I on Facebook had talked a little bit about this, but on Keppen at Shenandoah, which is down by the Rogers Elementary, but it's not, you don't turn onto Shenandoah that way. If you're going down Laramie, you turn to the left, and there's just a little niche of the road. And at the end of that road, there's a walking bridge that goes across the Ecorse Creek over to Seacott. And it's overridden with poison ivy and poison oak. Now, you can walk on the bridge. There's a cage-like fencing area over it, but it's just around it, it's very dangerous, and because of the poison oak and ivy. And, you know, the other foliage is wonderful there. We're not complaining about that. It's just the poison ivy and poison oak. And one of the issues is that that bridge causes a dam in the creek, and stuff flows down the creek and gets caught in there, trees, debris, garbage, whatever. And so I've contacted Wayne County a couple of times, the Wayne County Drain, and I don't think they're coming out because of the poison ivy and oak, because they are only responsible for what is actually in the creek. They will not touch anything that's on the creek sides of the bed of the creek, or over, if it's laying over the creek, whatever, they will not touch any of that. And so I think that they're not coming because of that. I don't know if Wayne County has communicated to the city. So my question is, who should I contact about the poison oak and ivy to try to see if there's something? I don't know what can be done about that.
I will report this to the DPW director.
Okay.
You can also call him if you'd like, and we'll find out whose responsibility it is to clean that up, if it's the cities or the counties or the drain commission, whoever.
Okay, because some of the neighbors were talking about going out there, but they've already sprayed, and it's just, nothing's dying. The bad stuff is not dying, and so we're just kind of at a loss what to do. So, thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Jim Pincala, and I live on Sterling Street. And I have a general question. I'd like to know what, in a brief summary, what the state of our finances are in Allen Park here, with dollar amounts and the time that it'll take to get out of the red and become fiscally solvent again. And that's my only question. I know it's a big question, but I'd like to hear some answers, specifically maybe from the treasurer, but from anyone in general.
You may want to just leave your name and number with Mr. Kibbe, and if you got a chance to come in and just speak to us. Your question is going to take some time to answer. I mean, to give you the answer that you're looking for, I think I just couldn't answer it in 2 minutes.
Just a brief summary, a paragraph or two. We owe how many hundreds of thousands of dollars, or are we in debt, or?
Actually, we're projected to have a fund balance of over $5 million by June 30th, 2015.
A balance?
Fund balance of about $5 million.
Okay, and then?
So I could say we're out of the red. Now, the reason we have money is another question, but and it's a little bit more difficult to answer everything, but there is no fiscal deficit anymore.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
Charles Blunt, Champaign. First off, can we have, I know this is being taped and then there's all the big signs about next door and stuff, but for people who don't watch this or go on the website, could we have, I don't know, like a mailing out so that when people send out like bills like and stuff, they don't send it here and or they can send it to next door or something like that. Just a notice maybe on that.
Currently, you can send it to either address because our mail is collected, as you know, at the post office, and we go and pick it up.
Okay.
So anything that comes to either site will end up in the same bin for now.
Okay.
And then as we run out of stock, you know, leather stock and everything, we're changing things over.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad to see the library parking lot is getting fixed. I know a couple months ago when I saw it, it was all crumbly, but I'm glad it's getting redone now. I'm glad to see that on the agenda it has the C-Click Fix software purchase, just because so that, from my understanding with this system, it's an app maybe that where you click, you have it where you see something like, say, for me right now, on McLean and Rosedale, there's a sidewalk that's probably up like an couple inches up, and it doesn't have one of those yellow lines or anything, so so that you can like take a picture of it and then send it so people can see it from the city hall and stuff like that. Any updates on the tot lot on Lawrence by the Cabrini with the wooden fences, if we're gonna get any more of those right there? Because I see that there's a lot missing and then there's no sign either. Just wondering if about that. Good job on the flower beds throughout the city, especially on Wick. I walked by and looks great. Are we, and then back to the sidewalk, I saw on the website, is there an actual sidewalk program, or is that going to be what this system is going to be?
We will address the sidewalks when we tackle the roads.
Okay.
It'll be part and parcel of that whole program.
Okay, thank you. In the future, not saying right now since we're moving over, do you guys, by any chance, if we end up having a new city hall, or if we're moving somewhere else, or we're staying right there, if we're gonna bring back like our dispatch or the animal shelter, or bring back jobs to our city? Just, I know don't need an answer right now, but just so that you guys can talk about that. And then if you guys have a plan of what you guys are actually going to do in the future, so that we don't have to wait another 40 years to move to a permanent location, so just temporary. And then through the chair to Dennis Hayes, I saw your comment on Facebook about the Allen Road and the email thing, and all I gotta say is I'll hopefully see it. I'll believe it when I see it, kind of thing, about KFC's road on Wayne County, and I hope we have a bright future next year, and stay positive. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Al Wojcinski, Vine Avenue. I want to say thanks to the people that helped move City Hall to the new City Hall. I want to say it publicly. I've said it on Facebook, but I'm going to say it publicly. I don't know if any of the council people helped, but I hope you did. If it didn't, that's, the way it goes. Also, what offices next door are upstairs?
None.
Then what is the upstairs there, just conference rooms?
There's a conference room and storage space upstairs.
Okay, so there's no real reason for any citizen to have to go upstairs.
If they're there for a special meeting that's upstairs, they'll need the elevator. And if you've been over to this new site, there's about 4 stairs you have to navigate to get down into our
Correct.
space.
It's a little awkward. Oh, and speaking of that, could you have the steps replaced that they took out when you moved at the front of the building?
Oh, they're working on that.
I thought they were going to put a ramp there,
They're putting in a new handicap
a
ramp. and
handicap
steps.
ramp,
That's
and
why they-
therefore we'll reset
Okay.
and put the handicap parking next to that.
Okay. Again, I want to thank you, Mr. Cady, for your report tonight. You are doing a heck of a lot better job than what we had before. Again, I thank you. Not everybody remember, we have the Cabrini Festival this weekend, so please attend. And a question financially. Are we paying less interest now on the bonds next door? Hot topic.
I can guarantee you, when the bonds are completed, it'll be less than we're paying currently.
Currently, we're paying, what, 6 and 3?
They vary anywhere from 5.5% to almost 7% on some of those bonds.
And we're going for what, 3?
It looks like we're going to be anywhere between 320 and 340. I don't know yet, it isn't done.
That is darn good news.
Yeah.
And can we have council comments tonight, please? If anybody wants to comment. Other than that, have yourself a beautiful week. Not really any complaints today.
I'm marking that down.
You know what?
Gail McLeod, Garfield Avenue. Briefly, I just want to thank whoever was responsible for creating the City of Allen Park Facebook page. There are any number of us, thank you very much, who wanted it, asked for it, and of course there were people who were not very receptive, none of you, but that individual is gone. And I was alerted to it last night, and we're very, very happy. Thank you very much.
Now I see no one coming forward, so we'll move to the consent.
One more.
Anthony Cools, Park Avenue. I'd like to speak last, Mayor, sorry. First, I wanted to say thank you to the volunteers that cleaned out the Allen Park planter boxes. I know one of them's here, Mr. Bob Turner, and also Jennifer Wharf, and I believe there were others, but I didn't see any names listed. I wanted to thank them. Also, I wanted to support Resolution 6, the See, Click, Fix software. Done some research on it. It's a great CRM technology for municipal management. So if anyone has any hesitations or hasn't researched it, it looks like great technology, and it's a great move for the city. In support of technological solutions, there's a few more that I don't think that we are currently using. One is free. It's for procurement purposes. It's called Smart Procured. It's a website. If the city shares its procurement data, we can get all of the procurement data of all local municipalities and also nationally. So it makes it a more competitive advantage for pricing when we utilize our purchasing power. Also, there's another one called MuniRent. It's another online resource that the city could utilize. I'm not sure if we're utilizing it yet, but it's a way that we could utilize our technology and things that we already have to make more money for the city if we have resources such as dump trucks and other large material or other resources that other cities could benefit from that they don't currently have or utilize. We could rent it to them, they'd put a deposit on it, and we'd collect money on that. And then instead of us making investments in the future, we could likewise rent from other municipalities. I just wanted to make those suggestions. That's really all I have. Thank you.
Go to the consent agenda now. Is there any of the 7 items that a council person would like considered separately?
Claims and accounts there, Mayor.
Any others?
I don't have a problem with that, Mayor, but I do think that when we set the agenda, it would be the time to pull stuff out. I thought you asked earlier for agenda changes. That's a change to the agenda. I mean,
Maybe I
shouldn't do it
should, but
twice.
I've been doing it this way, Bob.
Yes, you have there, Mayor.
Several months.
Thank you, Mayor.
I
Thought
think,
about it. And don't get offended. I don't have a problem with what you said either.
I'm not offended,
just,
but I've been doing this
yeah.
way ever since we started this new
I
All
thought
right.
about it last time and I didn't say anything, but I just think that there's appropriate time to change the agenda, and that's when we set it.
I would think the appropriate time's any time somebody has a question.
Well, it's, you know, I'm ruling that you've pulled your items to be separately considered, because that's what we've been doing in the past.
Thank you, Mayor.
If the council wishes to proceed differently, then they can advise me.
Well, again, let me just be clear. I said I did not have a problem with this item being pulled. But when you have an item on here that's corrections and approval of the agenda, that is the appropriate time to change the agenda. This is an agenda change. I'm just saying, moving forward, if we want changes to the agenda, it should be done under that topic, not twice.
Stated. Any other items to be pulled? Hearing none, then I'll ask that the consent agenda items for the payroll report, finance overview for May 2015, budget to actual report, the balance sheet for May 2015, and cash flow for May 2015, the ice cream vendor permit number 022015, Tina Iceman for All-American Superhero Ice Cream and her $200 fee for the permit. If I could have a motion for those.
So moved.
6 items.
Support.
Moved by Councilman Hayes, supported by Councilwoman Gabarecki. I'll ask for the vote on those items. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. That's carried. The claims and account matter, I would like to have that moved so it's before us, and then we can take any questions.
Make a motion.
Motion by Councilman Templin. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Hayes has seconded. Your questions, Councilman DiGiulio?
Over here on page 6, there's $5,000. What is that about? Is that for how many employees, or what is it?
Page 6.
Yes, under DDA operating.
I'm not finding that on page 6.
It's not on page 6. It's not on mine.
I have it on 6 on my paper here.
Okay, so you're looking at DDA, let me go to DDA. Is that your, per Ms. Kibbe's contract, she has a yearly contribution to her 401K, which is $5,000, and that's the check to that institution for that contribution.
So that's, every year we do this?
Yes, it's a once-a-year item.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions by council? Ask for the vote on the claims and accounts. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. Thank you very much. First resolution is the Parks and Rec Director to seek emergency repairs on the compressors at the Frank J. Latta Ice Arena. Could I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Keenan? Do I have a supported by Councilman Cisco? Any discussion of the matter?
Question, I didn't get a chance to really study it, but these are the compressors for what, the air conditioner or for the ice making? Or the, okay. Very good. Fine, thank you.
Just to clarify, Councilman, these are items that are in the capital improvement plan that was approved, but unfortunately, we didn't get there before they went bad, so we're actually just moving those up, but they were approved items under the 6-year capital plan, just to clarify.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none by council, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. That's carried. Next item for the Parks and Rec Director, sealed bids for lighting upgrades at the Allen Park Community Center. Motion?
Motion.
Support.
Moved by Councilman Cisco, am I correct?
Yes.
Second by Councilwoman Gabarecki. Any discussion of the matter?
The question I have, Pat, would be, I presume these would be energy efficiency, built-in kinds of upgrades that would ultimately result in a benefit to us from a cost standpoint?
Absolutely. What we have over there now mostly is the 440-watt metal halide, old, totally inefficient. And this was approved in the capital improvement, but because of the process and And as Mr. McGusson stated, we know that Edison has money available, but it's a process. We have to get a price first before we can submit for them to hold that money back into a rebate. So that's why we're trying to get this thing started now, so hopefully by the fall, we'd be able to move forward on it.
Thank you very much.
We did this same project in Trenton, and it had had almost about a 1.5 year payback. Probably today, it's about a 2.5 year payback, but it will pay for itself over time.
I know there are companies, and I've used them in the past, that will come in and put everything in for free and take a portion of your savings. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It was popular years ago in large congregate facilities.
I have spoken to one company that I know has done that in the past, and I expect to send them the bid paperwork on it. But I'm gonna have to do this in stages because I don't know that there's enough money to do the entire building. But I think we'll have to prioritize where the most wasteful energy is and where we can start saving it the most.
I think that what Dennis says has value. Obviously, I work for Ford, and we're going through those right now, and we're doing the types of programs that Councilman Hayes speaks of, what's called the performance-based program. And the company comes in, pays for all the fixtures for fixture changes, and gives Ford a stipend for labor to actually have their people change them. And then we continue to pay our bill over a period of time until they're paid off, and then we start to recoup the savings. I don't know what company you're dealing with. We're dealing with a company called New England Energy Management, which is, even though it's called New England, they have local people here. I can put you in contact with them and give you those names and numbers if you're interested in it.
Absolutely, I'm interested. We're not locked into anybody. We're looking for the thing that's in the best interest of the city of Allen Park.
My question is this a fixture change or is it a lamp change?
Lamp.
So that's
base.
a little bit less apt to be under a performance contract. Usually
Likely
it's a fixture.
because there's so much work involved.
Right.
But the one, Pat, that and this is years ago, mind you, I know it was a Canadian firm at the time, and they changed all the fixtures and all the bulbs, or whatever they called them in those days. And I think what they did is, once you got your bills, they took a cut of your savings.
Correct.
Maybe ad infinitum. I don't know how long they kept it.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's the same thing we're doing.
And
What
it's no capital outlay for us.
Right, we save the money, we pay for it over time.
Basically, what you do is, let's say hypothetically, as a business, you're paying $1,000, and your bill drops to $700.
Right.
They capture that extra $300 until it's paid for. So, but I again, if you're not changing actual fixtures, then
Well, we're gonna change fixture, we're gonna have to
that was my
change.
question. So you're
yeah.
not changing just lamp bulbs.
We're not
you're
just
changing
lamp,
fixtures.
we have to go from 440 metal halide to a T8 in some areas, and then other spaces, we might find out that an LED is better. And I did work with one company this approximately a year ago when none of the lights worked in the lobbies or the hallways, and we switched over some of that stuff.
Well, why don't we I'll try to get together with you, because I've got actually the fixtures and stuff that we use that, Ford has got a whole group that has researched, the quality and all that kind of stuff. So, and we're 480 volt, 3-phase throughout the plant. So, and 277 lighting, which is probably.
That's what we have in the lobby right
same
now.
thing. So, I mean, I can get you fixture information and all that kind of stuff too. So why don't we plan on getting together, and I'll share Ford's wealth with you a little bit.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That is carried. Third one is the resolution to approve the Festivities Commission's request to close down Allen Road from Southfield to Roosevelt from August 6th at 5 p.m. until August 9th at 12 p.m.
So moved.
Support.
By whom? I'm sorry, Councilman Hayes, supported by Councilwoman Gavarecki. Is there any further discussion on this? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Okay, this was a separated motion. The next 3A is the sale of beer and wine at the 34th Annual Street Fair to be held on August 7th and 8th.
Support, motion.
Support moved by Councilwoman Gavarecki, supported by Councilman Cisco. Is there any discussion?
I would just say again, in the consistency, since I've been an elected official, I do not pretend to legislate my beliefs on anybody, but I've always had a major concern with the liability of the city of Allen Park serving alcohol at this event, and having witnessed people leave there intoxicated, and quite frankly, last council meeting where we had a guy intoxicated almost get hit on the corner of Roosevelt by walking out from the band shell into it. I do not favor us, the city. I think it's more feasible for some of the bars and restaurants that are on that strip there that have their correct insurance and liability and have been trained to facilitate that type of activity.
Councilman Cisco.
Yeah, I'd just like to add to this that maybe not, is that you know, a lot of people bring their own alcohol to the street fair, and I think we need better enforcement from our police and stuff. The large band shell that's at the end of Roosevelt there, if you go along where the pawn shop is now, people gather there and bring their coolers and stuff and drink. And that's been going on for a long time. People have brought their coolers, but, you know, to be able to stop everybody from drinking, I think the festivities committee and the volunteers that do their work of passing out liquor, it's very well known that if you've had too much, you're not going to get any. That doesn't mean that they're not getting it from somewhere else, including possibly, you know, there's a party store over there that tends to sell pretty cheap beer, cheaper than the festivities commission sells. And they do that, and we've had complaints about that, and we've talked about that, and that is a enforcement issue. Overall, I think the Festivities Commission does a really good job of doing what they need to do. So that's all I'll say about that.
The question I have, and I tend to agree with my friend Mr. Cisco about the enforcement, we can't restrict commerce. If somebody has a legal business and they want to sell beer and somebody walks outside and opens it up and drinks it, if there's an ordinance against public drinking, then we enforce the ordinance. If there's not, then you can't tell a business owner, I wouldn't think, that you have to stop selling your legal product because we happen to be having a fair and people might get carried away. I don't know what the status is of our public drinking ordinance is. There probably is one. And we do have police officers wandering around the whole time, and they certainly are not prevented from standing in that location and watching if people, I mean, if somebody walks out with a bag and they walk down the street, you can't follow them around and harass them. But if they pop them open outside the door, that's quite a different matter. Now, the other thing is, I noticed in the Wyandotte Fair, they have a kind of a free flowing sort of, you can buy beer every corner you want. In ours, we sort of restrict them into one location. I don't know which is better or worse, but there are some inherent problems, but I think it needs to be examined carefully by the police to determine if there's anything we can indeed do. I do agree with Mr. Cisco also that the people come down there by that pawn shop area, they bring a cooler and stuff, and I don't know if there's an ordinance against drinking in public other than in the licensed area, and that is a licensed area, because once you put your little fence or whatever up, that's the liquor license approved drinking area, sale area anyway. And if we have an ordinance that says drinking outside of there is outside the ordinance, then we have to enforce our ordinance. And I think that's where we need to be, not to intimidate businesses or harass our citizens, but rather to make sure that nobody's violating the law. Okay, that's my 2 cents.
you have a comment,
No,
Councilman?
not at the moment. We'll wait to
Well,
see what you say.
I would say two things. That we're aware of some problems that occurred last year. Festivities Commission has looked at it. I did find the ordinance for the Festivities Commission and the Police Department, and it's not where you would expect it to be in our ordinances. But it does say drinking on the street at that time, except in a licensed area, is not permitted. It will be posted up and down those blocks this year, both sides of the street, so that people know that. I think using a licensed area that's controlled and near the bands, which go later than the general traffic on the street to see the vendors who are selling services, goods, and different matters, is a better way to handle the liquor. And I'm hoping those people who sell closed containers of alcoholic beverages don't do like they've done in the past, which all are giving away cups outside their place, which clearly is fostering a breach of our ordinance. So hopefully we will remedy that at this year's fair and reduce that. I don't think it's not good for the public to see a lot of people wandering up and down the street carrying open intoxicants.
No, I would just like to say that the committee has been working really hard, and they have, are going to be posting additional signage this year regarding the drinking of outside of that area. So with some assistance from somebody last year, they found it, like you said, not where it was supposed to be in the ordinance, but so it will be enforced a little more than it was last year.
Any other comments? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor of allowing beer and wine to be sold at the licensed facilities by the Street Fair Committee, signify by aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
No.
Let's take the roll call there, because I'm sorry, I don't know if I heard 2 or 3.
Okay, we'll start with Councilman DeGiulio.
No.
Okay. Councilwoman Gavareki.
Yes.
Councilman Hayes.
Yes.
Councilman Keenan.
No.
Mayor Mategas.
Yes?
Councilman Cisco.
Yes.
And Councilman Templin.
Yes.
The yeses have it. It does pass.
Thank you. That's carried. Resolution to approve the Allen Park DDA's request to close down Allen Road from Southfield to White and down Philomene to Park on Wednesday, June 24th for the annual car show. Could I have a motion?
Motion, Mayor.
Motion by Councilman DeGiulio, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Keenan. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. Resolution to approve the Intercity Baptist Church annual firework display on June 28th of this year. A motion, please.
Motion. Support.
Motion by Councilman Cisco, supported by Councilman Templin. Is there any discussion on that matter?
It's just a question, and maybe Bob, since you're a congregant there, have they done this even back when Allen Park had their fireworks? So it was always the 2 events, right? Well, I want to thank them for doing this, because I know a lot of people ask about fireworks, and we haven't been able to do it. And I was looking at the list of all the the explosives they're going to be igniting, and it looks like an impressive display. So I'm looking forward to going by and seeing it. Thank you.
Any further comments or questions? Call the question. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. I'd like to have a motion for the purchase of the software program, which is the Click Fix.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman
Support.
Cisco, supported by Councilwoman Gavareki. And could I ask the city administrator just to explain how this is used in the app that we need on our phones?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. C-Click Fix is really an empowering tool that residents can download onto their Androids or their iPhones. It enables them to not only report problems that they see, whether it's a down sign, a pothole, anything that looks dangerous, but they can also send a picture. That is also shows up on its GIS location, so they can pull up a map and see all the trouble spots in the city. It also automatically reports that to the department that's responsible for that repair. There's a drop-down menu that would be on their app, and they would say if that really is, if it's a street, it would go automatically to DPW. If it's something for police related, it would go to the chief of police, and then also it will copy it to the administration so we can follow up. It also has a GIS tool, a map that they can pull up either on their phone or at home on their laptop that shows everything, and it changes color as it's reported, and as it's fixed, it goes through the steps, and it stays on the map for a week after everything is finished. The program itself is normally $7,000 with $1,000 to set it up. C-Click Fix is offered to waive that $1,000 setup as part of their June promotion program. It's an annual cost of $7,000. I would propose that we buy the license for 1 year to see if it's something the residents would take hold of and utilize. If it is, we can renew next year. If not, then we would not renew the software for 2016. Money is available in 101-221-693-000 Administrative Professional Services for this purchase.
I'll make that motion.
No, we already
The motion's on the floor.
Oh, it's on the table, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Question, Your Honor.
Oh, you got it.
The one, I heard Mr. Cools mention earlier that there was another such program. I think I heard him describe another program. Sounded somewhat similar, and I'm not opposed to this. I rather like this idea. But if the other program is out there that might be, you know, kind of apples to apples, I certainly want to explore whether it's less expensive or maybe even available to us through some MML kind of process. I don't know if you're aware of any other kind of program like that.
I don't want to speak for Mr. Cools, but I believe the two apps he mentioned were different than this program and
One
what
was
they
for
do.
procurement, one was for
I
rental
remember
of
that.
equipment.
But I thought initially he mentioned one other. Or did you just refer to
Actually,
this one? You were.
He was actually in support of Click It. He came
Oh,
to
okay.
offer his support at the podium.
Fine, thank you.
I'll also add that in the previous city I worked for, we had this software, and it was very good. It was excellent. The residents loved it.
Are you prepared to be inundated with clicks and fixes?
We're inundated now. If anything, I think this will streamline it, and people will actually, if they see it on the map, it's
Yeah, they
already
might
been
not.
reported, maybe it'll
Might not
slow that
cross-report.
down.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much.
Any further discussion, comment, or question? Councilman Cisco.
Yeah, and I just want to say this. This is a great idea. I was able to see a demonstration of it. It's terrific. It will, you know, I've always been a proponent of trying to bring Allen Park into the 21st century. This is a little step forward into getting us there. Everybody that has a cell phone can report the problem. So I think that we're arming a lot of people with tools to help our city, and that's what we need. You know, we do have people come up to the podium and mention different things. Now we'll have the ability to use our iPhones or our Android phones and make a difference. Everybody will be able to make a difference. So I wholeheartedly endorse this. Thank you.
Any other comments? Hearing none, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That is carried. Final resolution to receive and file the fiscal year 2015-16 24th District Court budget.
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Gavarecki.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Templin. Is there any discussion?
I'm just curious, Mr. Cady, if you can tell us, the revenue's dropping, expenses are dropping. Seems like we still have a lot of tickets and activity. It just seems most budgets go up. This one seems to be going down. You have any idea what's going on here?
Actually, the proposed budget, if you look at it from the court, the revenue is proposed to stay the same to the city. And as you know, Allen Park's one of the few cities where we actually make more in court revenue than we spend. And the fact that the court is for the next fiscal year is actually saying they're going to require less funding is a real good thing for the city. Council's already approved this as part of the 15, 16 budget. This is just their budget internal for, to receive and place on file.
Any other discussion? I would say one of the reasons on the revenue, and it's kind of a problem, you notice that they at one time had people that went out to track down and bring in people who owed funds. But it appears that where we have the problem is once you get a little over $1,000 behind to the court, there are a great number of people before this court that just can't afford to pay it. They don't pay it, and you don't really want to take them away from work, and that usually they're trying to make ends meet and they're just not doing real well with it. So it has become an issue in this last few years particularly, and I think the court's recognized it. So if there's no other comments, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried. The other business, we had asked our city attorney, Mr. Kavir, has the settlement with American Tower so that we can deal with our cell placements.
And just to, first off, I apologize for getting this at the last minute. In fact, we just received this today. We have been in negotiations with this company for quite some time, and just today they brought forth a proposal which looks favorable to the city. So the urgency on the part of the city is we need equipment placed on a cell tower. So our options are build our own cell tower, and the price of that, Bob, can you help me with that? Maybe
It's between $30,000 and $40,000 to get. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's between $30,000 and $40,000 to get to the height we need.
Right, and I don't know if we'd be putting it on the roof of something, or would that be from the ground up?
It'd be from the ground up. The roof can't support it over there.
Okay, so this is why we need to address this. So we have a summary here which would result in the city getting 15% of all future revenues, and as consideration for that, they would they want us to give up the right to for ground space. They want the ability to lease the ground area to another tenant in the future. Now, right now, the lease says that any lease would require the approval by the city, but it also says such approval would not be unreasonably withheld. So we're asking for approval today to amend this lease agreement, which would provide for this. There's a short memo here if you have any questions on it.
Make a motion for the purpose of discussion.
Moved by Councilman Mayor Pro Tem Keenan. Do I have a support?
Support.
Support by Councilman Hayes. Discussion?
What do we receive currently on tenants to the tower?
Current rent's about, it has an escalation clause. We're currently at $1,800 a month.
So it's not percentage based?
No.
It's a fixed fee?
No, it has a percentage increase every year.
So do you have a feeling of what the 15% is going to compare to in dollars?
If you notice, what I've included in here is it in no way affects the current fee structure that's in place. What they're proposing is for any new tenants, what we'd get is 15% of whatever their capture is.
So we continue on with 1,800 and 15%?
18 plus any escalations in that contract. The 15% affects anybody new that they place on the tower.
I mean, my only concern, and the reason I asked the question is obviously if it's a temporary move, you know, we don't want to give away the farm to put something on a cell tower out here if we're not going to be there long term, obviously. So, but yeah, if it's amenable to us in that sense, we're not really losing anything. I have no problem with it.
One question, when it talks about the space, oh, you're talking about space on the tower.
The contract currently, the way it was done, and I don't know who did the contract when it was originally done, it just says the city shall have space between 80 and 100 feet. It doesn't say, though, you know, what we have to do to utilize that space. American Tower contends that anybody that utilizes the space in their contracts has to pay money to have a study done to make sure that it's sound and They also have to pay for the lease of the ground space. There's all these things they're trying to throw at us, and it really leaves and I'll defer to Joe, maybe he wants to add to this, but the contract that's currently in place is really void on how we get that equipment on the tower. It also doesn't say how much equipment we can put on the tower. They're saying it's one piece of equipment, we need 3. So this really clears that up.
Good.
Thank you.
And then as part of this is, we are in the, I think we're real close to a final agreement. So we would be asking for approval to do this, and then we would also ask to do anything otherwise necessary to secure this space.
Can I ask this one question if, Council?
I have a question.
Councilman Templin?
It's talking here that we're giving up any, deleting about for ground space needed for any new companies. What kind of ground space are we, how much do we have? How much are we gonna give, if there's more ground space they need, where are they gonna get it from? Are we giving up any, what are we giving up there?
We're basically exchanging that ground space that we would need. Typically, right now, the way the lease reads is if there's another co-tenant that goes onto that tower, they need to come negotiate the fee that we get with the city. To my knowledge, there hasn't been any new tenants on that tower for some time. So what we're saying in exchange for that, not giving up the right to negotiate that ground space, is we'll just take 15% of whatever that revenue is from whatever the new co-tenant pays American Tower.
And there may be another tenant, and there may not be a tenant.
Right. Right.
That is an unknown for us.
Because I know the ground space out there is limited.
Yeah, it's not a
large space.
large area.
Right. So would we have to give up other ground?
No,
No.
we're just talking
The enclosure there that they
Yes.
have, okay.
That's clear that it is the enclosed space.
yes. Yeah, we're not expanding the footprint here.
Because as they get more people and they want more ground space, that becomes a problem if the enclosure is really limited, so we ought to be clear on that to them. Any other questions or comments by council? I'm going to ask for the vote on this matter. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That's carried.
Thank you.
Before we go to other business, are we going to just, or we're not having a closed session because we didn't get a response back from police?
Right.
So there'll be no labor negotiation closed session, and we'll go to other business and ask the council for their comments. Councilwoman Gawarecki.
Thank you, Mayor. At this moment, I'd like to, since he's still in the room, thank our Parks and Rec Director, Pat Hawkins, his staff, and the Parks and Rec Commission for diligently working on a contract with Allen Park Hockey Association. Unfortunately, the end result was the association went somewhere else, but they put a lot of time and effort in trying to get the association back into our arena, and it didn't happen. But I just want to say thank you. I know you put in a lot of time. So did your staff and the Parks and Rec Commission, so thank you very much. Thank you for coming out tonight, and have a good evening.
Councilman Pro Tem.
Just to follow up, and I every year we have the same thing, but I just want to be clear again as far as the street fair goes. I know that the money that's gathered through the beverage sales, there be it alcohol or whatever else, is what is primarily used to run the fair, and I'm very cognizant of that. And I think the fair is awesome for the city, and I would not want to do anything to make us not be able to have the fair. What I've always been in favor of, and what I've said here publicly since I've been elected, because we have the same discussion and the same vote every year. Usually I'm the only guy that votes against it, so I'm glad to see that somebody else has given it some thought. But I'm more in favor of letting the businesses, I mean, this is the Downtown Development Authority area. That whole authority and what we are as a city is to help promote business. One of the reasons why the DDA puts on a car show down there and other things is to try to get people into the downtown to see the businesses are there, to try to promote business, to get people, spending money downtown so that we don't have vacant businesses. What I've always proposed, and I've had this discussion before, is that we go to our establishments there, our restaurants, our bars, that have licenses year-round to sell liquor and work with them and take a percentage of what they sell. In other words, you could have on the one end of the street, you could have the broadcast booth, have a fenced-in area where they provided that service, and we take a portion of that, and that portion be used to run the fair. I think it's better for promoting business, but I want to be clear for those that know that I'm not a drinker, and I'm not trying to legislate my beliefs on anybody, because I get accused of that every year, and so I'm just going to try to get in front of it. I have no problem with what you do when you're at that street fair. I have concerns about the safety. I mean, I have been there. I go to that fair since I was a little kid, and I've had friends that I've watched sit there and drink from buying beer at that fair and be where I know that they would be above the .8 limit that they would be if they were to get pulled over and get in their cars and drive out. I've witnessed accidents in the parking lot behind the Red Fund that the DDA owns, you know, little minor fender benders. I've witnessed last year the guy walk out right into the middle of Roosevelt, Allen, and Ecorse, staggering along and almost get hit by a car. You know, there's been several incidents. So I just want to be clear for those. I'm sure I'll get emails, and I'm fine with that. But I'm not trying to legislate my beliefs on anybody. I just think that there's other ways to promote business downtown and still be able to fund the street fair. Thanks.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Hayes?
You know, I share Mr. Keenan's concerns, but I think one thing, Bob, if I understand the LCC, the Michigan Liquor Control Commission rules, I don't think a licensee can share their profits with anybody. So that may not be an option as much as we'd like to think it could be. And the other comment I wanted to make was simply, we've now moved into this supposed temporary city hall. And I just want to say that I don't know how temporary is. Is that 10 years, 20 years, 30 years? Because I think there's a lot of belief in our community that we are a year away from the construction of a brand new, huge complex. I don't foresee that personally. I don't see any particular plan currently. I think there may be wishes and aspirations and dreams for that sort of thing, but I think as a practical matter, we don't have any money to be thinking that far out. Maybe 10 years from now, perhaps. So I think we should be planning, and I talked to Bob Katie today. I happened to be by there waiting for another appointment, and I expressed my concern to him that we ought to be thinking about a long-term lease arrangement, long-term meaning 6 years, 8 years, something like that, because as a practical matter, we're probably going to be there for some time into the future. As much as some of you might want to see a new building, I just don't think it's going to happen. Thank you all very much, and I want to say finally that I do appreciate, again, I said this the last time, the responsiveness we've been getting from the Public Works Department. As you know, we all stumble upon the odd chuck hole, pothole here and there, and we report it. And I'm happy to say, in one particular instance, just this weekend on Dasher, there was a huge, huge hole that if somebody had dropped their wheel in it, they would have literally broken their tire out. I mean, it was 8 inches deep if it was 5 inches. And some citizen had put a cone in there. It was her own cone, and put a homemade sign on it. And the department got out there immediately and fixed it right quick, which was nice to see. And they are being very responsive. They can't get to everyone because we got hundreds of thousands of them. But they're getting to the worst ones when we bring it to their attention. That's all we can really ask at this stage, I'd say. So thank all the men and women that work in Public Works. I neglected to mention Cheryl McDonald, who's a marvelous public servant, who's very polite on the phone when you call her, and she passes the word to Terry and the rest of the gang over there. And I want to thank them all for all they've done. Thanks.
Any other comments by council?
Mayor?
Councilman DeGiulio.
Okay. Tonight, we met with T.J. Adams just before our council meeting to discuss potential city administrator qualifications and whatever. And I told him I felt that honesty and integrity and transparency would be the top of the list. And somebody that gets back to you, somebody that you can call and answers the phone. I told him, I said, actually, that sounds like Mr. Kibbe and Mr. Cady. So I thought that was what I thought was important to me. And congratulations to John Dabbs on his promotion. And he donated his time on Memorial Day to drive the fire truck and be part of the Memorial Day parade. And I think it was pretty nice of John Dabbs to donate his time. Thank you, Mayor.
Anybody else?
Mayor,
Councilman Cisco.
just want to talk about the Festivities Commission and the street fair. The business model that the Festivities Commission runs on is booth fees and beer fees. That's how the money is made. And let us not forget that when we took office, there was virtually zero money in that account. If anybody wanted to change not having beer sales there, you have to change the business model that exists. That would require lots of sponsorship, lots. Tens and tens of thousands of dollars would have to go in for sponsorship. Then you'd have a basis for not allowing beer and or wine. Although it's been a tradition to have beer at the street fair. So we just have to be careful of, we have a great thing in the street fair. It's better than it's ever has been. There's been various members that have come and gone since the last, was it 3 years ago, Mayor? 4 years ago?
3 years.
3 years. And it's a much improved street fair, and it'll be improved this year. I think you'll see some good changes in a lot of the vendors, some high quality vendors, so we'll see that. And I just think the number one, getting onto another subject, getting a number one responsibility of this council to put forward, along with our city administrator and our deputy city administrator, is to put a program together to fix our roads and our sidewalks. That needs to be put in place before the next election. Can't shrink away from these things. That has to be done. We can't let, like when we came into office, a lot of stuff had been kind of forgotten about because it kind of got dumped on us. We have a responsibility to our citizens to fix our roads and our sidewalks. Our sidewalks are terrible too, everywhere. It's a big expense these days, and we all need to join together and get that fixed. I think we're all in agreement on that, that needs to be done. It doesn't come free, and we all know that also. So at some point, we got to get over that, that notion that these things don't cost money. So we need to take part in that. And on just one final note, I'd like to say this one thing. I have a friend whose birthday is tomorrow, and I never talk about birthdays, but he happens to be sitting here, and I think we all should give him a nice big round of applause for his birthday, and that would be Mike Missy. I think it's kind of an auspicious birthday for him. He's actually starting to grow hair in his bald spot right now. So it's a good thing. I'd just like to end on that, so thank you.
Any other comments by council? Clerk or the treasurer?
I'd like to make a comment. As an employee who comes here every day, I'm very thankful that we no longer have to come to work in this building. And most of the employees are just thrilled beyond words to be in a new building, whether it's for 2 years or 10 years. I don't think there's any of us who care about that at this point. Just to be in a clean, bright area is uplifting for all of us, and we are all hoping that that feeling that we have is passed on to all of our residents that come into City Hall. Please come in and see it. I think they are planning an open house later in July, and it's just refreshing, and I wish that all of you could come and see it. And thank you for coming tonight.
Okay, on a positive note, I do want to say, over the last probably 7 years, we've watched our city go progressively downward. And for one of the first times in the 7 years, I'm really not embarrassed to work here anymore. One thing I noticed is the communication between the people in the audience and up here. It's not that you versus them. That problem's gone. And for the first time in almost a decade, with the well, 7 years, we have administrators and people running this city that know exactly what they're doing. And if you have a question, they have nothing to hide, so they will answer it. And I think that was the most frustrating. But when I first started working here, Allen Park was a lot different. When we got a phone call about a house that didn't cut their grass, it was like 1 of 12. Which one is it? We knew it because we knew the situation, because majority of the city still took care of their houses. Well, unfortunately, with the market dropping and people leaving, it's getting a little tricky, but it's good to see with the staff now, we're getting ahead of it. There's still going to be vacant houses, there's still going to be tall grass, but there's not dozens of them like there were in previous years. Things are getting done, and I'm very proud to say I work for the city of Allen Park. I don't tell people I'm elected, but I tell them I work for. But also, I just want to remind, jumping now to elections, I just want to remind everybody that the precincts will be combined at the community center for this August, I believe it's August 4th. I'm sorry, my head's a little foggy from the chemo, but I believe it's August 4th primary is going to be held for, it's just the city council race. There's going to be 16 candidates for council, and you pick 6. But again, all precincts will be voting at the community center.
Is that the ice arena?
Pick 12.
Yeah.
You pick 12 at the primaries.
No, it's pick 6.
You can only vote for 6. You can only vote for 6.
You can't vote for more than 6, but that means, the top 12 will advance onto the election, so.
I did too.
But yeah, no, I triple checked before I printed had the ballots proved, so. Yeah. So with that, I'd like to thank all of you for coming out tonight. God bless you and good night.
I too want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. We are planning an open house, but obviously, I'd like to, when we have the open house, we'd like to be complete. We'd like to have the elevators so we have no restrictions on our handicapped residents or visitors. And we'd like to have the council chambers ready, and I think you heard that was around July 9th. In the interim, people should know that when they come to City Hall, there is ability to come. The ramp, hopefully right next to the front door, will be done shortly, and we will have handicap parking next to that for those people who need that closeness. But when you come in presently at the kiosk, just inside the doors, we have individuals who will, if you can't walk down the 4 steps to see whoever it is you need to see in the city, that person will call that department or call that person, and they will come out and make arrangements to meet with you or conduct your business somewhere there, and you can do it in privacy. It isn't something that there's going to be a lot of people that can look at it. So we think it will work well, and we will have that covered every day that the city is open. I think the City Hall is still going to be closed on Fridays, but that building is a building for other residents, so it will be open. But if you come in there, you will see the doors to the city offices locked, and they're not, well, I can't say that. They will be available because the Records Bureau will be open and taking.
Records is open on Friday?
Yeah, they're open on Fridays, but so that means that area will be open, but it would only be police business that you would have that would be available there. Otherwise, you would go over to this building for any other police business that you may have, whether it's an impounded car or an impounded neighbor, friend, or family member. So let's hope it's just a vehicle. So I think we have that covered. Hopefully we'll get that done sooner, and hopefully the elevators will come forward and we'll get that matter settled quickly. And with that, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Supported.
Moved by Councilman Hayes, supported by Councilman DeGiulio. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned at 7:25 by the official watch.
Wow. 7:25 atomic time.
We have set a record.